Shamil Gadziev did the damn thing for us this past weekend as our lock of the night play for UFC Abu Dhabi. I was thinking he'd be able to finish the fight, but a dub is a dub, and that's why sometimes just taking the straight up chalk is more than worth trying to get a little bit pretty with it or risky with it by taking any props. We go 2-0 on the regional scene as well, not to mention a plus 170 underdog, which was actually a lock of the night play for us in Christina Berdor for LFA. She comes through relatively easy, getting a first round finish. And then we had to go with a parlay for PFL, but that comes through pretty easily as well. Now that brings our yearly record to 57-28 on lock of the night plays for plus 13.53 units and a 3% ROI. Headed in the right direction, stumbled out the gate, but really getting things back together here and staying in the positive. All right, I got another 3 lock of the night plays for you guys for this weekend's card, or at least 3 lock of the night candidates. Again, I don't play all of these. There's only one that actually gets the lock of the night moniker, and you guys can either guess it or check out the MMA LOTN Patreon page. Link for that in the description below, as I've already posted it there. Again, sometimes these lines move after I post them, not because I make the lines move. I'm just saying sometimes the public starts to get privy to those spots and starts taking advantage. So that is why it's best to hop onto the Lock of the Night Patreon page and get these plays in advance compared to when the public sees them. All right, let's get right into it. First candidate up is going to be Yousef Zalal coming in at minus 350. He's taking on Jarno Aarons, who had a very successful first victory in the UFC in his third attempt last time around against Stephen Nguyen, taking advantage of the poor striking defense that Nguyen has often shown in his fights. But I think that Zalal is the crisper striker here between him and Aarons. And even though Aarons might have a judo advantage in this matchup, which is originally his background, I think we'll see Zalal a little bit more aggressive here to avoid that judo. Maybe utilize his own wrestling, just as we saw in his last fight against Billy Quarantillo, which was a successful return to the UFC after going 0-3-1 in his last 4 fights with the promotion. He goes to the regional scene, picks up 3 finishes, gets right back into the UFC, and I think we're going to see an even better version of him this time around, considering he sees that there were a lot of close fights when he was first in the UFC, now being a little bit more aggressive, putting his skills to a little bit more of an aggressive manner. I think that will benefit him largely here, and specifically against Aarons, I think he makes this fight look pretty easy. Either grinds this fight out with his wrestling, possibly finds a submission, but just taking him straight up as a lock that I play, whether it's as a parlay piece or if you're willing to eat the chalk, I think he's more than worth it in this spot. The second lock of the night candidate is going to be Danny Barlow, who's taking on short notice Nikolai Veretennikov, who makes his UFC debut after coming up short on the Contender series, I believe back in 2021. He took a little bit of time off after that, ended up picking up a few wins on the regional scene, finishing all of those opponents as well. And now he makes his short notice debut against a very hot prospect in Danny Barlow. Veretennikov might have a little bit more experience than him, but I believe Barlow has the wrestling to keep this fight upright, which is where Veretennikov will likely be looking to take advantage of him. And then in the striking realm, Barlow is just too good for him. He is a southpaw that, obviously his nickname, left hand to God, loves to use that left hand down the pipe. His speed and ability to set it up and land big damage on his opponents is why he is such a prospect and such a bright prospect that people should be talking about. I think we'll see him utilize his footwork well here, his speed advantage, and eventually keep cracking Veretennikov until he finally knocks him out. Again, more than worthy of the chalky play that he's at, either as a parlay piece or straight up. The third and final lock of the night candidate is going to be Jose Chepe Mariscal, coming in at minus 205 as he goes up against Damon Jackson, I believe in the co-main event of this weekend's card. Both guys are grapple-heavy fighters. Obviously, Jackson very dangerous early on in matchups, but I think that we'll see Mariscal do very well in terms of the scrambles and his ability to really put a pace on Jackson and reap the fruits of his labor later on in this fight as Jackson starts to slow down. Chepe is probably the better striker, although Jackson does carry a lot of power. I think if Mariscal can keep up with his durability, really put that pace and grind on Jackson, stay out of too many bad positions early, he should start to run away with this late and possibly even produce a third round finish. That's why I like Mariscal at minus 205. Which of these 3, again, this is a little bit more chalkier than I'm used to, but not a whole lot to love on this card, so might have to go chalk hunting here, but I only ended up picking one as a lock of the night play. Which one is it? Check the MMA LOTN Patreon page. Otherwise, drop a comment below and let me know which play this weekend out of the 10 fights is your lock of the night play. All right, I will see you guys later today for the top 3 dog of the night plays. See you then.